There's a specific moment that separates people who build real wealth from people who just collect returns. It happens every quarter when dividends hit your account. You see that $600 or $1,200 or whatever the number is, and there's this immediate temptation to move it into checking. It feels like found money, like something you earned and deserve to enjoy. And in your mind, it's not even that much. What difference does $600 really make in the long run? So you take it, you spend it, and you never realize you just interrupted the most powerful wealth-building mechanism that exists. My name is David, and I spent the last 6 months researching why some investors retire with millions, while others, contributing the same amounts to the same types of portfolios, barely scrape together a few $100,000. I studied dividend behavior, compounding patterns, and the psychological triggers that make people pull money out of their accounts the moment it starts accumulating. If you've ever seen dividends or returns hit your brokerage account and felt that immediate urge to transfer it to checking, if you've ever wondered why your portfolio isn't growing as fast as you thought it would despite consistent contributions, make sure to hit that subscribe button.
What most people believe is that returns are the reward for investing. When your portfolio generates dividends or gains, that's your profit. That's what you worked for. While reinvesting might be smart, taking some of those returns to actually enjoy your life isn't going to derail everything. You're still investing your salary. You're still in the market. Pulling out the earnings to spend on something meaningful feels reasonable, even responsible. But this assumption misses something fundamental about how wealth actually builds. Reinvestment isn't just a nice bonus strategy, it's the difference between linear growth and exponential growth. It's the mechanism that transforms a wheel spinning slowly into one that spins so fast it eventually runs on its own momentum. When you break that momentum by pulling money out, even small amounts, you don't just lose those dollars, you lose every dollar those dollars would have created for the next 20 years. Consider what this means with actual numbers. You have $100,000 invested in a portfolio generating an average 8% annual return. In year one, that's $8,000. You face a choice. Take that $8,000 and spend it or reinvest it. If you take it, you enjoy $8,000 and your portfolio stays at $100,000. Next year, you earn another 8%, another $8,000. You continue this pattern for 20 years and you'll have pulled out $160,000 in returns. That feels like winning. But watch what happens if you reinvest instead. Year one, you earn $8,000, and instead of spending it, you leave it in. Now your portfolio is $108,000. Year two, you don't earn 8% on $100,000, you earn 8% on $108,000. That's $8,640. You reinvest that too. Now you're at $116,640. And the following year, you earn 8% on that larger number. Your returns start earning their own returns. The $8,000 from year one isn't just sitting there. It's working. It's generating money. And the money it generates starts generating money. That's compounding in action.
After 10 years, if you kept taking the $8,000 every year, you'd have pulled out $80,000, and your portfolio would still be $100,000. Total value between cash taken and portfolio balance is $180,000. But if you reinvested everything, your portfolio after 10 years is $215,000. You're ahead by $35,000, and more importantly, your base is now massive. After 20 years, the gap becomes staggering. Taking the returns every year means you've pulled out $160,000 total, and your portfolio is still $100,000. Combined value is $260,000. But if you reinvested, your portfolio is now $466,000. You didn't add a single extra dollar beyond the original $100,000. You just left the earnings alone. The difference is $206,000. That's not a rounding error. That's compounding doing what compounding does when you let it run uninterrupted. An identity shift has to happen if you want this to work. You have to stop thinking of yourself as someone collecting returns and start thinking of yourself as someone building a machine. When you take dividends or gains out of your portfolio to spend, you're treating investing like a job. You put in work, in this case capital, and you take out a paycheck. But wealth isn't built that way. Wealth is built by people who see their portfolio as a system that gets more powerful the longer it runs. You're not collecting profits, you're feeding a machine. Every dollar you reinvest makes the machine bigger, and a bigger machine produces more output. More output, when reinvested, makes the machine bigger still. Your only job is to not interrupt it.
Breaking this cycle costs more than you calculate in the moment. You're at $150,000 in your portfolio, and you've been reinvesting everything for 5 years. Then you decide you want a $20,000 distribution. Maybe it's for a car, maybe a home renovation, maybe a trip you've been dreaming about. It feels justified. You worked hard. You've been disciplined. And $20,000 out of $150,000 is only 13%. You'll make it back. Except what you don't calculate is this. That $20,000 left in the portfolio earning 8% annually would have turned into $43,000 in 10 years, into $93,000 in 20 years. You didn't spend $20,000, you spent $93,000 of future wealth. And it's worse than that, because when you pulled out $20,000, you reduced your base from $150,000 to $130,000. Every future return is now calculated on a smaller number. Your 8% isn't generating as much. The momentum slowed down, and the gap between where you'd be with reinvestment versus without starts widening every single year. That one withdrawal didn't just cost you the amount, it cost you the trajectory. There's a massive difference between earning returns and compounding returns that most people never grasp. Earning returns is when you make 8% and take it out. You got your 8%, you enjoyed it. That's linear growth. You earn, you take, you earn again. But compounding returns is when you make 8%, leave it in, and now that 8% becomes part of your base. Next year, you're not just earning on your original principal, you're earning on your principal plus last year's growth. The year after that, you're earning on your principal plus 2 years of growth. That's exponential. That's geometric. That's the difference between addition and multiplication. And multiplication over time becomes so overwhelmingly powerful that the two strategies don't even look like they belong in the same universe. What destroys most people's momentum without them even noticing is comparison. They see friends taking vacations, buying new cars, upgrading homes, and those friends also have investments. So in their mind, if everyone else is pulling money out and still doing fine, why can't they? What they don't see is that those friends aren't building exponential wealth. They're earning returns and treating their portfolio like supplemental income. Maybe they'll retire okay, but they won't retire wealthy. They won't hit the point where their money generates more than they could ever spend. They won't experience the moment when the system spins so fast it becomes unstoppable because they kept breaking it. They kept pulling value out instead of letting it build. Almost no one takes this warning seriously until it's too late. The early years of reinvestment feel pointless. You reinvest $5,000 in dividends, and it feels like you sacrificed something tangible for an extra $400 the next year. That doesn't feel worth it. The sacrifice feels bigger than the reward, so people quit. They start taking the dividends. They figure they'll reinvest later when the numbers are bigger. But that's exactly backwards. The early years are the most critical because those are the years when reinvested money has the most time to compound. The $5,000 you reinvest in year 3 has 17 years to grow if you're on a 20-year horizon. The $5,000 you reinvest in year 15 only has 5 years. Time is the multiplier, and you can't get those early years back. The people sitting on $2 million portfolios didn't get there by reinvesting in year 15. They got there by reinvesting in year 2, even when it felt like nothing was happening. When the system actually gets going, it looks like this. The first 5 years feel slow. You're reinvesting and the numbers tick up, but it doesn't feel magical. Years 5 to 10, you start noticing. The annual growth becomes bigger than your salary contributions. That's the threshold. That's when you start seeing visible momentum. Years 10 to 15, it accelerates. Your portfolio's growing by $30, $40, $50,000 a year, and you're not adding that much yourself. The returns are doing the heavy lifting. And years 15 to 20, it's almost surreal. You watch your net worth climb by 6 figures annually, and all you're doing is not touching it. The system is running itself. The machine is working. And the only reason it works is because you didn't interrupt it back in year 3 when you wanted to buy something that felt important at the time. Reinvestment isn't about being cheap or denying yourself. It's about recognizing that money inside the system is worth exponentially more than money outside it. $1 in your portfolio, reinvested, turns into $4 or $5 over 20 years. $1 spent is just $1. Maybe some purchases are worth that trade. Maybe some experiences justify pulling money out. But you need to make that choice consciously, knowing the real cost. The real cost is never the amount you withdraw. It's the compounded future value of that amount, plus the slowed trajectory of everything left behind. Most people make spending decisions based on the sticker price, and the sticker price is a lie. The real price is always 5 to 10 times higher when you account for compounding.
What separates people who build wealth from people who just participate in the market is this. The ones who build wealth set their dividends and gains to automatic reinvestment, then forget about it. They don't check their account every quarter, deciding whether to take the money or leave it. They don't negotiate with themselves. They just let the system spin. They give it 10 years, 15 years, 20 years of uninterrupted momentum. And when they finally look up, they realize the thing they built is so much bigger than anything they could have constructed through labor alone. Their money worked harder than they ever could. And the decision that made it possible was the decision to stop treating returns as income and start treating them as fuel. You're at a moment right now where you can choose which path you're on. You can keep taking your returns out, enjoying them, treating your portfolio like a savings account that pays interest, and you'll be fine. You'll have something. Or you can commit to reinvestment. You can let the system build. You can give compounding the time and fuel it needs to turn your portfolio into something that eventually runs itself. Not forever, but long enough. Long enough that by the time you're 55 or 60, the growth happens whether you contribute or not. Long enough that the machine you built in your 30s and 40s becomes the freedom you live in your 60s and 70s. 20 years from now, when you're looking at a portfolio that's 10 times what you started with, when you realize the dividends you didn't spend in 2025 are the reason you have $200,000 in annual growth in 2045, you'll remember this moment. The moment you learned that reinvestment isn't a strategy, it's the strategy. The moment you understood that wealth only compounds if you let it. And the moment you decided to step back and let the math do what math does when you stop interrupting it.